So thank you for the introduction. Thank you also the Goethe-Institutes. I believe there are some representatives here from the Goethe-Institutes. Yes. Thank you very much for supporting us in Indonesia to make the project KID DOK. And we are here to give a short introduction about the project and to watch one of the films that we produced with the project. And after that, we are still available for questions. So, okay. In short, the project KID DOK is a documentary film project that we did in Jakarta. And the whole idea, the initiative, was really by the Goethe-Institutes. The manager at the time, Mr. Frank Werner, he had the idea to stimulate documentary filmmaking in Indonesia because he felt that there was a really need to do that. And I was involved with the Children's Film Festival in Jakarta, and we were already working with the Goethe. So one time he approached me to see if there would be a way to start a documentary project for children. So, so basically, we started in 2011 with researching the whole idea, trying to find funding and all the preparations. Then in 2000, that's basically in 2012, we had the workshop phase, and that's when Bettina, when she came in as one of the film mentors. We had the pitching phase, and then a production phase, and in the end, the results were 3 short documentary films for children. So basically, that's it. But we had some partners. So first of all, the Goethe-Institutes. So the most important thing is that they funded not only the workshop, the German mentor, but also a part of the production. And kidsffest, that's basically where I work for, is the Children's Film Festival in Indonesia. And we did the whole project organization and preparations. What happened then is that Goethe, they sent me to Duisburg to talk to Gudrun Sommer. And because she had experience with children's documentaries, and she gave us a lot of input and expertise, and she's also the one who recommended Bettina to be the mentor. So then moving on, we saw that we need another partner for the funding, and so we ended up talking to Kids and Docs and Cinekids, who also helped us a lot and found also a Dutch mentor to be involved in the project. And finally, together with the manager of the Goethe, we talked to the Dutch embassy in Jakarta for the rest of the funding and got it. And also found a TV channel who committed to the project to broadcast the films on TV. And finally, our production company, Kalyana Shira Films, produced 3 films. The aims of the project basically were stimulating documentary filmmaking in Southeast Asia. The Goethe-Institute just received a grant of around 400,000 euro to stimulate documentary filmmaking in the whole region, and our project was just one of them. What we also wanted to do was introducing documentaries for children in Indonesia as an education tool. And at the time when we began, nobody knew about that. It was really, really the first time to introduce this. So, of course, we needed to find filmmakers, but also the most important thing is to start with a workshop and teach a few local filmmakers how to make a short documentary for children. And the person who did that was Bettina here, and she will say a little bit more about the workshop and the production. There you go.
Okay, hello. I will talk a little bit about the workshop, and if you have questions afterwards, you can ask me. So there were, the participants of the workshops were 5 filmmakers and their DOPs and editors, which I think is a very good idea to bring in a whole team right in the beginning. I have been teaching in the Philippines, and there was always a big problem finding editors at the end of a production phase who are really committed to the whole project. So here we had a whole team who attended the 3-day workshop. Yeah, we were teaching documentary filmmaking, but particular, obviously, with focus on short documentaries for children, because this is what the outcome was meant to be, and explaining the assignment for the next month to the team, which was how to research a documentary and how to write a treatment, how to find suitable protagonists between the age of 8 and 11 years, and subsequently how to prepare a proposal and a pitch, because out of the 5 filmmakers, only 3 were eventually chosen to have their films financed. This is us. Guess who's me? Yeah, as Petra already mentioned, there is no such thing as documentary filmmaking or a documentary filmmaking culture in Indonesia. So the first day was really used to open up the minds of the filmmakers for the possibilities of documentary filmmaking. We were watching many different documentaries from all over the world, styles, form, also with animation, with all kinds of means, and discussing them. The filmmakers, the participants of the workshops, obviously we live in the global world, they knew documentary filmmaking, they had also made films themselves, but nevertheless, I think it was very inspiring to see many different films and approaches on day 1. Okay, then I explained the assignment. Gudrun Sommer and Petra decided to give a theme, which was friendship. We thought it was a good idea to give a theme to help the filmmakers within the vast amount of subjects you can choose, maybe to limit it a bit, but also we wanted the theme to give the option to also have something positive and not only focus on problems and drama, but also have a theme that can be of some kind of strength for the kids. We also talked about kids' interests, what are appropriate subjects for kids, and also in comparison maybe like what subjects are appropriate in Indonesia, what subjects are appropriate in Europe. We talked very much about, or at fairly great length, about the point of view, like things we discussed also here in the symposium. We are adult filmmakers, but we make films for kids and about kids, and how we can approach this situation, how do we get the point of view of the kids. And also we talked about the problems that can occur when you work with kids as opposed to working with grown-ups, or what could be the differences. For example, that kids often don't have a very clear idea of what it means to be a protagonist of a documentary film. They tire very easily. So it was more kind of making the filmmakers aware of the obstacles, but maybe also of the chances that can occur when you work with kids on a documentary film. Yeah, we talked about different approaches to research, like you can have a certain theme and maybe approach certain groups of interest. Maybe you know a family, you know a protagonist, what kinds of ways you can find to find your protagonist. And yeah, funnily enough, I had the impression that all the workshop participants found their protagonists on YouTube, which surprised me a bit, but I think this is the way it went eventually. And yeah, also on day 2, we watched one of the films that I made and went through the whole process of documentary filmmaking, again talking about chances, obstacles, using the example of one of my films. On day 3, we watched films of the participants, also to get to know each other, to get to know each other's work, and started talking about how you write a treatment, how do you get the reader interested in your idea, how do you make it visual with words, and how you pitch eventually, because this is what they were preparing for in the months ahead to pitch their particular project. Yeah, then the filmmakers were left to themselves, really, to go and find protagonists, find a subject. And the only thing that was still my part was a phase of consultation, which was that they sent me exposés, treatments, questions. Maybe they had also encountered some problems. And we were emailing back and forth, and I was trying to help them focus their story. If they already had an idea or a precise protagonist, we were talking about what could they possibly shoot. The film we will show later, I think the filmmaker had the problem that he really wanted to shoot in the film, but he wasn't allowed, so we were talking about what possibilities there are to still get this kind of situations. Yeah, and this is really where my part ended, and the last thing I did is I kind of handed the project over to Catherine from Kampen, a Dutch filmmaker, who went to Jakarta to listen to the pitch. And these were the 5 projects. Farewell My School was about a boy with impaired vision who loves playing the drums, and he leaves his school. He's like in a special needs school, and he goes to a normal school. So it was very much about friendships and leaving friends and a change in life, a new situation. Chocolate Comedy, again, I think she found him on YouTube, a little boy who does stand-up comedy and makes his problem into a humorous performance. Grady the Healer is a film that we will be seeing later. It's about a boy who is believed to have healing powers. And these were actually the 3 films that Catherine, together with Nia Dinata, who is the owner of the production company who produced the films, decided to fund in the end. And Randy the BMX Biker was about a boy from a fairly poor background who was a passionate BMX biker. And Ivan the Artist was about an autistic child that communicates with the world through drawings, which is a project that I really liked, but I wasn't present in Jakarta at the time anymore, and Catherine had a really good feeling as to how well the filmmakers seemed to be prepared also to make the film, and she really felt that the filmmakers with the first 3 subjects were the ones where she felt pretty confident that they will end up making a film, which they did. Pictures. I wasn't there when they were pitching, so there's not much I can say to the pictures. Yeah, and then for me, I mean, all was left to kind of see the final results and react to them again via email. And I was very happy to see that really 3 films and 3 films that worked came out of the workshop. I was very positively surprised. At the same time, my main reaction was that I felt that all 3 of them were very much still using the voiceover as a means of a structure for the whole film, and I was encouraging the filmmakers to let reality happen in front of the camera more and also trust reality to happen in front of the camera, that they don't need so much this construction of the voiceover. And also watching the films, I felt very much what the workshop would have needed was more consultation in the editing. Also in the Philippines, that was my experience, that there is too little time, too little consultation in the editing phase, which I think in documentary filmmaking is such a crucial phase. Yes. So this is it for me, for now.
So finally, a few words on the project outcome and the distribution. The premiere of the 3 films were at the opening event of kidsffest in April 2013. And all the crew and the kids with all the families and friends, they were there. And it was really a great event. And then after that, we had broadcast on TV. We signed a deal with one of the private channels, MNC TV channels, and we gave them the permission to broadcast the films on TV 3 times for 1 year, and they did that in a special morning program for children. So, and basically this broadcast idea was also one idea of the manager of the Goethe, because he really wanted the films to have an audience, and he knew that if we could have a broadcaster on board, that it would secure that at least, because we had no idea in the beginning, of course, what the film's going to be like in the end, because it was never done before in Indonesia. So we were very happy with the TV broadcast. Finally, we made a DVD with the 3 films, and they were distributed to the elementary schools in Indonesia, to NGOs in Indonesia, and also it's available in the libraries of the Goethe-Instituten in Jakarta, and Erasmushuis, that's the Cultural Institute of the Dutch Embassy in Jakarta. Finally, the films also had a surprisingly good festival circuit. We were very happy with the screenings at the Docs. It was in the screen room in Cinekids. 2 of the films were at the IDFA, and also at Chop Shots, as the film festival in Jakarta, organized again, of course, by the Goethe-Institute. And then GFest is the International Film Festival in Jakarta, and Prisjenes is also here in Germany, and they were in one of the screenings there. And also invited to several film festivals around the world, in Southeast Asia, but also, for example, in Tel Aviv. And it was really a success that we never expected to happen, so very surprised. And then, of course, now we are trying, because this was basically the pilot edition, and we're trying to find a follow-up to maybe organize this similar project again, but with different partners. Because after evaluating the project with Goethe and the Dutch Embassy and MNC TV channels, it was clear that for them, it's at least for Goethe and Dutch Embassy not to give production money anymore. They can organize workshops and master classes, but it's very difficult for them to give money for a film production. And MSC channels in Indonesia, the TV channels, they will never give any money. So basically that was unfortunately a dead end. So at the moment we are exploring possibilities for funding or sponsoring in Indonesia and Europe. Well, Indonesia's only corporate sponsoring is possible. And so far we were not successful, but we are still looking for sponsors. And we're also exploring possibilities for the filmmakers to see if there is a way to make youth documentaries in Indonesia. So we're still working on that. Okay, thank you so far. And let's watch one of the films, Grady the Healer. And after that, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. Thank you.